Our project's called InterMedia. So like the idea is that there are two environments, one internal to the suit and one external to the suit, and both are controlled basically by the behaviors of the two people in relation to each other, but each one only has access to one of the two environments. So they sort of have to like be reciprocating and like be empathizing with each other in order to like make sense of the different spaces and to try and like communicate across the different spaces.
Yeah, there are two people, they both have a perspective. In an ideal world, this is like a experience just between these two people. Similar kinds of actions are also manifest in the room around through lights and color and sound. The idea is for both of them, I think it's encouraging the two participants to get closer and to do certain actions that are essentially like affectionate and find ways to have like these meaningful connections even when the way they're experiencing those connections are completely different.
And so all of her experiences are totally determined by the inputs and outputs of this suit. And it's covered with various like sensors and incomplete circuits, which all like determine the rules of her space.
And there's also an interesting power dynamic between the two participants themselves, because the external person, who's going to be David in this first go round, everything that he is doing with the suit, all of the circuits, we have 3 stretch sensors, which are now open circuits, as well as 3 other open circuits. Every circuit that he completes only affects the interior worlds. And then the connection between the two, their proximity will affect the external. And so it's interesting in the sense that their interactions are controlling something that they cannot see and that is only being experienced by the other person.
It just becomes an interesting question of communication, right? The person in the suit wants to communicate to the person out of the suit. How are they going to do that? And it's one thing for us to say, okay, the interests, so to speak, or the outputs are lined up enough that like they should be kind of experiencing a similar enough thing. But then the question happens is, well, what if the person in the suit wants something different to happen, or the person outside the suit wants something different to happen? How do they start to explain that?
So I was originally scared to do this, but that's exactly why I did it. One, because it's like their lights like super close to your face. I was like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna work. But I was like really surprised with like the more like peachy green colors. I felt like, especially because you have like the diffuser, right, of the glasses, like it almost like it opened up space in a really nice way, and I thought that was super successful, especially in combination with the sound, because it was an opening up of space and this like playful, almost like game-like sound. I think that was, yeah, I think those two, I think that's where a lot of the magic for me happened. I was like, ooh, I truly felt like I was in another world.
If people were curious about what is actually happening when you mess with stuff the way that we ended up coding it, and granted we had more lofty goals in the beginning, was each of the stretch sensors are, since there are 3 of them, they're pulling the RGB. One is red, one is green, one is blue. The hands, so we split the vision field in half, and so completing one circuit was supposed to complete one half of the field of vision, which you can, we get these like kind of errant ones, but for the most part you can see it's like dominant on this side.
The idea was like, then they would realize like you should be holding both,
Like
you know,
both
like
hands.
to like push them.
It was a like pretty daunting task for us all to get, especially because it kind of all had to happen at once, of getting all of these sensors in and then getting them to
also
actually
just like
communicate with the
after
lights.
we all finished our own parts, we had to like make sure all the parts fit together, which was really stressful. And
That was like technically the messiest part of this project, making all these separate things connect technically, and having these 2 different perspectives, these 2 different worlds, and having different things feed into each separately made it a lot easier to like divide it up like between us, and then also just make it work.
like every person did like a technical and an artistic part. Like Layla made the stretch sensors, which ended up like functioning more like just wires, but they're these like kind of amazing tassels. And like I did all the circuitry and the suits with like help from Ian and Layla, but it's like I really like it as just a weird art object, even though like it is like every decision is like serves a technical purpose.
Just like in general, you have a lot of interesting ways you've connected stuff. Just like I'm particularly impressed by these snaps here, which are which I know is really challenging. So like that's really cool.
Yeah, that's good.
It's really interesting just as a visual, physical object by itself.
It was
laid out.
Yeah, so basically like all of these, the thread is like all of the data things, and then all the black wires are all the grounds. Because all the grounds had like meet at one point, and they were all going to cross every single wire one.
So
we had to
this
do
was
like that.
both an innovation
Yeah.
and a
Really
way to
cool.
save Maya a ton of sewing at the end of the night by just soldering these things and snapping them.
Nice.
But yeah, that's our thing.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much.